Okay, we're recording.
Want to go back in this way?
Oh, thank you.
Shortcut.
Thanks, Dave. Okay. All right, under the roll call, Lisa?
Yes. We have Lori here, Chuck,
Yep.
Lisa. Craig has not yet joined. Evelyn here. Dave Edgington.
Here.
Chris Papalizio is not here. Absent. Okay. Dave Giroux.
Here.
Julia.
Here.
We also have Lisa Holber, treasurer. Lynn Lynn Christie Tax. We have Nancy Kavanaugh. And then there's also Carol Wright, who was on the Zoom.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting, April 1st. Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Right.
Okay, motion carries. Public comment.
Hey,
Hi.
Nancy.
Hi, so I've read the minutes and listened to a couple of the meetings, and I just had a couple of comments about some of the areas you guys are discussing. I did send some emails to committee chairs, so I sent an email to Chris, and I guess he was already aware, but just in case he wasn't, there's been a whole lot of dogs and playing on the courts, and if we make a big investment into that, I feel like we should also include not allowing activities that are not intended. And I just thinking that maybe that resurfacing might, be taxed by dogs or certain types of vehicles or toys or something like that. As far as bylaws and events, I do think it's a good idea to change the carnival and potentially the Lake Hayward Days events, just because of the same concern that you guys have talked about as far as school starting early and stuff like that. But I feel like, I have only been here less than 5 years now, but I feel like the intention of having certain things in the bylaws about that is to make sure everyone can participate if they want to. And my former job required that I requested vacation by January 1st. So I feel like whatever you choose, if it's like the week before the meeting or whatever, it should be consistent rather than, maybe the first week of August one year or the second week another year. I feel like for families in general, it should be consistent. And I wanted to let you guys know that. I also wanted to say that I really appreciate the president and the board members working on developing and documenting policies, especially financial policies. Because if we don't have policies that are documented, there can be misuse. And especially financial, yeah. I took some notes here so I won't forget. Let's see. Also a policy about what your role is in a volunteer position, whether it's a manager of events or properties or whatever. If those are documented, then a person who's going to volunteer will know what the responsibilities are and if they're actually suitable for the position. So I thought that was a good idea. I really appreciated, I think, Julia's comments about board being accountable to the community. So I've been involved to the degree that I am because I care about that. And as far as the ceiling fans go, I've been a member of social dance communities, more than one, for many, many years. And ceiling fans don't do anything for heat on the floor. You need floor fans or fans that are on a corner post on the wall. So that was kind of disappointing, all that stuff about the ceiling fans. So I guess otherwise, I see you guys are working really hard, and sometimes it looks really hard, but I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, guys.
That's Craig.
And
Hey there.
Chris will
Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Chris will be able to make it.
Hey, Craig. Hey, hey.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Well, that was a learning thing. So I leave the meeting open, just want to say, and a phone, when someone's calling in via phone, you have to let them in.
Versus.
I leave it
The meeting
open,
at your
so I
house?
don't. Yes, it is.
All right. I may show up in person. I'm on my way back from Boston and I'm later than I thought I would be, so.
That's great. Thank you, Nancy. Are you done?
No, yeah, I'm done talking. I'm gonna hang out a little while.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if as long as y'all go, but
That's quite all right. Thank you. Okay, any other comments from the public? Any other public comment?
I have. Let's have my pajamas here. So I just wanted to say that I've been coming to board meetings for more than a few years now. I've either been watching them from when they were down in the pavilion or started attending them when I became civically active with the dam assessment stuff happening there. And then I became more active with the Cold Spring Farms thing. And I've been obviously got involved with the board and ultimately am where I am. But overall that time, you know, I can always tell when the minutes go on the web, because once they do, I get phone calls from people saying, you know, oh, hey, this or hey, that. And I end up having conversations, and, you know, generally they're good conversations with people, you know, my neighbors or, you know, other people that know me, that they know that I attend. They want to know a question or something that happened in the meeting and clarification from my perspective anyway. But when I'm talking to them, I'm saying, yeah, this board, they're moving and grooving. They get things done. And I have all positive things to say. So in the last couple of meetings, when I hear board members say, that's why this board never gets anything done, I'm sitting shocked because I'm thinking y'all are doing a great job. And, you know, just from my perspective, having watched this board transition from Microsoft to Google and then embracing all that that is and using it as a fantastic engine for documentation and an inventory of documents and old and new and bringing in old stuff, that in itself has been in charge and progressive, I think. And then, you know, in the last over the winter, in the last 7 months, just over the winter, what you guys have worked on, you got the committee with the right-of-ways going. You've got the Airbnb, the short-term rental committees going. I'm probably not going to term all of these correct. I know that there's plans to redo the rules and regulations. You guys got a tennis and pickleball court committee going. And I mean, I'm not going to list everything that I was thinking of sitting here before the meeting, but I know you have a lot of irons in the fire, but I just want to say, I think I appreciate this board. I think you're doing a fantastic job. So I really hope when you feel like this board does nothing or we're not getting anything done, I'm hoping those are words of frustration and not how you really feel, because what I profess and when I talk to my neighbors and whatnot, I'm telling you guys are, you know, doing a great job, moving and grooving, getting things done, very progressive. So I just want to say I appreciate that. And I'm, you know, there are some frustrations, and I hope that that's all that was frustration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move into the officers' report. So I've read all the emails pertaining to the financial policy. And I'm pleased to see all agree that communication on the board must improve. I can definitely understand how or why board members were confused about the motion they voted yes on. I viewed the special meeting recordings a couple of times. There was an unreasonable amount of chaos leading up to the motion that was later questioned by some board members, including Evelyn, who made the motion.
Yep, I own it.
Interrupting each other and talking over each other is the root cause. Going forward, it can't continue. So we will exercise order according to Robert's rules, as stated in our bylaws, and the Robert's rules that that we're going to use are as follows. Only one person speaking at a time. Maintain the focus on the topic at hand. Respect everyone's opinion and avoid personal attacks or interruptions. Make motions clear and specific only when one has the floor. Once a motion is made, we shall allow time for questions and clarifications by requesting the floor for discussion before a vote on the motion takes place. Request the floor by raising your hand, and only once the floor has been yielded can you carry on your discussion. And conduct all business with a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. Robert's rules is stricter than what I just bulleted, but we're going to try this approach. And by adhering to these rules, we can ensure that our meetings are efficient, effective, and respectful of everyone's voice. So let us all commit to upholding these principles for the betterment of our organization and solidarity. Getting back to the financial policy that kind of initiated this a little bit. I want to change the intent of the $1,000 component to exclude previously approved budget line items. The motion that was made by Evelyn Passan at the special meeting on April 1st, 2024 was as follows. I move that any expenditure of $1,000 must be approved by the Board of Governors. I make a motion to amend that motion and move that any expenditure or line item not approved by the Budget Committee, Board of Governors, and the membership of $1,000 or more shall be brought before the Board of Governors for advice and consent before said transaction takes place.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion?
So if it's not if it's not previously approved, then it has to come to the board for advice and consent.
Correct.
So for instance, once again, properties, if there's $5,000 on there for tree cutting, and he needs to emergently cut down a tree, that's in his budget. He doesn't need to come to us for if it's $1,000.
Correct. However, if he decided to do something else with the $5,000 and not cut down trees
No,
that exceeded, then he would have to come to the board.
okay.
And I just want everybody to be clear on this motion. I don't want anybody to leave not
All
clear.
right, but this is kind of a side, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Go stay in the corner.
No, we're gonna get used to this
Okay.
because
So I'm clear, so I understand that, not previously, but Evelyn brings up a good point about there's 5,000 in for tree removal. And we don't want to micromanage, and I understand all that. But do we as a board get to talk about which trees he's? Okay, thank you, because you, do we as a board get to, like, know what's happening? Like, what trees are we cutting down? So
Probably
that's
not
where
a
it
good
gets-
example. But anyway.
Yeah, that was a bad example, so sorry, that's all I have my question.
go ahead, Jeff.
I agree with your motion.
Thank you.
There's a spinoff to that, which may be appropriate or may not be appropriate to discuss at this time. But regarding the property manager, if he or she has a budget of $30,000, $50,000, I'm involved in a lot of organizations and associations that also have professional property managers. The role of that professional property manager is they have a priority list. And again, if I'm getting off topic, let me know, but it kind of ties together. They then have a list of priorities. They then come to the board and say, this is what I want to do. The parking lot needs repair. There's a sewer backup in this area that we've been just patching. And then the board decides if that priority list is appropriate, because we may think your priority number 3 should be priority number 1. So I think there's a distinction between having a budget and having carte blanche decisions on what to make with that money. You need advice and consent of the Board of Governors to give it its blessing, because I may say, hey, listen, I've been hearing from 2 people. I don't play basketball, but I heard the basketball court is, the pole is falling down. Minor money, but the issue is that would be a time where we can bring it up, of course, anytime, but that's when it's appropriate that the proposal of the punch list in the contracting world or priority list, it has to come before the board. And that's when you were saying about the trees, using your example, if you said I got 4 trees and it's $5,000, which trees? So we got to be in the loop. A budget doesn't mean you have carte blanche expenditures. I'm all done. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Madam
Thank you,
President.
Jeff. So I just, for clarity, having been on the budget committee, and several of us have, typically how it would work would be the committee chair comes to the budget committee with what they feel they need. So I think what you're suggesting is before they come to the budget committee and request, they come to the board with their priorities,
No, not necessarily, although that may be a point.
because they're not going to get the money from the budget committee.
No,
if they
right.
don't-
And I know which comes first, the chicken or the egg of that. When, if you got $50,000 in the kitty for building maintenance and property maintenance, all I'm saying is the end result is before any project gets done, even if it's in the kitty of projects to be done, we are just kept in the loop. We know what's going on because we're the ones that have to answer to our constituents. Okay. So, and then once we give the blessing of that, okay, right, we got to fix the right of way here and the wrong of way here. Okay. Then it becomes the property manager's duty for he or she to supervise.
Shouldn't the monthly reports from the managers accomplish most of what Jeff's advocating?
Yes, Dave, they should, but those have been deficient. Very.
So once again, we come back to communication.
Yes,
Communication is,
yes. It is.
You can't see, but I'm raising my hand on the phone. So it's my turn.
You can let us know that you're raising your hand and we'll be cognizant of that, Greg. So go ahead.
Just let me know when you're, I'm sorry.
I said, go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I think everything that was just said makes perfect sense. And I think it really boils down to, so being kept in the loop for budget items that fall under a category, i.e. building or property maintenance or something along those lines. I feel like anybody who's spending any money should have a running kind of profit and loss statement, if you will, of what they have spent, what they spent it on, and what they're planning on spending it. And if we have that as part of a monthly communication to the board from that person, then we will be then kept in the loop. So for the example of 5,000 for tree cutting, well, which trees? Well, sure, the property manager can say it's the tree on the north end of such and such, or but from an approval standpoint, unless it's something crazy outside of any of the scope of normal maintenance, I don't think you're saying, or maybe I should ask, are you saying that that person should then have us approve something or just be kept in the loop in something? Maybe I just need some clarity on that.
Do you want the floor, Jeff?
I guess that question was kind of answered, directed to me. I think that any monies that a property manager spends, even being in his budget, even a line item, it still should come before the board. It's that simple. That's just my opinion. Because again, and I will yield the floor in about 30 seconds, okay? Because there may be other projects that we feel should have a higher priority than his number 1. Our number 3 should be bumped. So I hope I'm explaining myself correctly, but I yield the floor to Julia.
No, I think I understand what you're saying. I just don't think that if something's already been approved, I think the only place that would come into play is if there's kind of a blanket approval for maintenance, for example. Because what could be considered maintenance and what could be considered a priority? At some point, we have to let the property manager run their show, or the events coordinator run their show, or whomever we're talking about, the lake quality people. That they have to run the stuff. And if it's been approved, I don't think that they should have to come back for reapproval. I think that we as a board, if we find something that, and by the way, if the communication is working the way that it should, this is never going to become an issue. because we as a board will know well in advance of what's happening. And it just, I don't see it becoming an issue if the communication is fixed. And I've said since the beginning of the discussions that this is a communications issue, not a financial issue.
Craig, we're getting off topic of the motion.
Dave had his hand up.
I know.
I don't think we are. I think that's spot on the motion.
Are you yielding the floor, Craig?
Sure.
Go ahead, Dave.
I wanted to direct this to Jeff. Remember, Jeff, that and we're going to pick on Phil because that's who we've been picking on lately. But when properties comes to the approval process for his budget, to the budget committee, he has a list of projects that need to be done. That's how he requests the money that he wants. So a lot of the larger projects have already been approved because the budget committee brought it to the board and said, this is what we want to do with the money. And the body has voted yes on it. So I think we have, the bigger projects that have already been approved, we don't need to come back to the board and ask approval because you've already been approved by virtue of approving the budget. Smaller stuff, I follow your point. But the larger items that have been approved already, I don't think we need to have them reapproved. That's all. I'll yield the floor.
All right, Jeff, and that is why I had said to you.
Yes,
Are you saying that the property manager should come to the board first and say, hey, this is what I'm going to the budget committee with? Because when they come to the budget committee, the
Right.
budget committee scrutinizes
Right.
what the request is.
I guess I'm still talking about the order of the approved
Okay.
projects should be brought forth to the board, because a project that if all been approved may not be the first thing that he should do or she should do as property manager. That's all I'm saying. And I do respect and I do understand what you're saying. I think we're kind of on the same page.
Okay. Julia, did
I'll
you?
yield to Dave first.
Okay.
So as I recall, when we were doing the budget committee, groups came to us and they gave to us a detailed list and what they were looking to accomplish. And then when I led the budget committee, we went to the board and the board asked us by different committee, and in depth, what they were, and we had cheat sheets as to what each committee was trying to accomplish. Okay. And that's how the due diligence was accomplished.
So I think that's why this motion says anything that wasn't approved by the budget committee, which ultimately is approved by the board and then is ultimately approved by the membership. So we're saying anything outside of that scope, Jeff, is what needs to be brought to the board and prioritized.
I agree. I guess because we're not being so specific on which projects have already been approved and were trees as part of the projects.
Right. So trees were
Right.
in the budget for this year.
So, I probably derailed this conversation with my initial question. So I apologize, but it's complex. It's
Right.
it's integrated.
That's right.
Okay? So what Lori had asked me to do, the president had asked me to do, put together guidelines, which I did. And we had a great conversation and we're here where we are, which is awesome. And, I too, really appreciate your revised motion, Lori. But I didn't finish, and that's part of my report. I didn't finish. And communications, I need to finish the communication guidelines, and maybe that's where, Jeff,
Right.
we can work on this
Sure.
issue, because I think we're on the same page. So, I've derailed the conversation, so I would call, maybe if discussion's ended, maybe we can call a vote.
Does anybody else have any further discussion on this motion? And would you like me to read it again for clarification? Okay.
Yes, please.
I make a motion to amend the motion that Evelyn had made at the special meeting. That any expenditure or line item not approved by the budget committee, board of governors, and the membership of $1,000 or more shall be brought before the board of governors for advice and consent before said transaction takes place. All in favor?
Right.
I do.
Any nays?
Can I just ask one more question, or is discussion closed?
No, we're voting, Craig.
We're done.
Are you can
All right.
abstain or you can nay?
I'll abstain.
Okay. One abstention. Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna make another motion to amend the agenda and move to sign our code of conduct following the president's report. Any discussion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Craig,
Aye.
you.
I said aye.
Motion carries. So I was going to talk about Nancy's email on Lake Hayward days. She did send an email with concern, and I didn't know she was coming, so she expressed her concern. And as you all know, I usually follow through with correspondence that I have. So, you know, it's something we can talk about, but I think maybe we can, just a suggestion, handle that in the rules and regulations and say by a certain date, perhaps, that we know when we'll do Lake Hayward days for the following year. That way it gives everybody maybe a year or something, just a thought.
Okay.
But we can talk about that.
I thought that was the intent. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, to move it permanently? No?
No, so in the bylaws that are being changed now,
You're right.
the bylaws committee wanted to leave it, up to the board to decide which week in August. And so,
Okay.
so if it's in the rules and regs that there's a certain date, perhaps, that the board decides, at least it gives people a year. But they did not want to set it in stone. They wanted to leave it evergreen so that it was a little flexible.
But I
Lori.
agree. Plan of vacations.
Just a thought, you know, if that information goes out with the spring packet, the date is decided before the spring packet goes out, I think that'd be a big help to people.
Dave, from what I'm hearing and what, I don't know if you heard what Nancy said, but some people have to make their vacation plans a year in advance.
Okay.
And that-
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. I heard what you're saying.
Yeah, if we don't notify them until the spring, that's, you know, she said in her case, she had to submit her vacation in January, so it'd be too late for her.
That's a fair point. So the change that's brought by the committee is not what I asked for. I asked for a specific week and they wanted to keep it evergreen. So however it turns out, but that's not my initial idea. My initial idea was to pick a week and stick with it. But that's not what they brought. So that's fine. Whatever they come up with is their, you know, it's their hard work, not mine. So we'll vote on whatever they come up with.
Well, just FYI, we voted and
Yeah, right.
it passed and those
Right.
went out.
So the board needs to decide when you're going to pick that date. I agree. It needs to be before the first of the year. It needs to be, you know, maybe if we say it'll be the first week of August in general, and if there's a year that comes up where that might be a problem, then we have the ability to change that because you want to leave it evergreen. But if we say the first week of August is going to be Carnival Week, and leave it at that, and if something changes, then we have the ability to change that.
So we put it in the rules and regs.
I think so. I mean, it's, you know, this is my opinion. Everybody else has an opinion, so.
Well, you have the floor.
I'm
Rick.
done. I'm done. I relinquish the floor. I'm done.
Thank you.
I mean, rather than just putting it in the spring packet, we could also do an email blast. The beginning of the year.
Right, but I still think it should be,
Yeah.
I agree.
get
It should be by January 1st.
But we can also do an email.
Or like Dave said, have a standing week. And then perhaps if something comes up where that changes things, then we notify everybody by January or something. But I think it's something we put in the rules and regs to kind of make it all work.
Sounds good.
Okay, any more discussion on that? Lisa?
I agree with Dave Edgington. I think historically it's been the third week in August. So I like having a set week that everyone knows about. And maybe we move it up a little bit for the reasons that he talked about. I like a set week.
So I think it, because there's so many other people involved,
Right.
like you, Diane, everybody, so maybe because you guys are running it, maybe you come up with a week that you think is best based on school and all that, and then,
So we're talking Lake Hayward days, which includes Carnival, correct? Not just Carnival.
correct, like
Yes.
Hayward is,
Yeah,
the
okay.
week.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Julia.
I'm sorry. So I think, Lori, that's a good approach. We don't mess with bylaws because the association still has, the membership still has the right to vote and say they don't agree. But I think it's a very good solution is we can put it in the rules and regs. But something to consider. We should go back and I'm going to steal Nancy's thought here because she brought it to my attention. We should go back and look at when the beaches have historically been, when we get high bacteria in the water. So you might not want to make the first week of August, maybe the second week of August. We should check that. I think usually the end of July, beginning of August is when if we get an outbreak, that's typically when it is higher temps, higher water temps. Yeah, well, it's not only that, septic tanks and things, but just food for thought.
Okay,
I yield the floor.
any more conversation on
You need a chair.
that email? And like Hayward days? Just a little information. Gary Cohen will be returning to do the newsletter.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and that's all I have. So before we move into the vice president's report, let's go ahead and do the code of conduct. So everybody's read it and everybody's agreed. So I'll pass it around. I'll sign it first.
I'll swear one more time before I sign
You know you're
Not
gonna
on the
swear more.
recording.
Is pink legal or do I need to do blue?
I'll pass around the blue.
Okay.
it. I'll also sign this in one.
Today's tax day.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna pass it around this way. And then when Chris returns, we'll have him sign it, and when Dave returns, we'll have him sign it.
I should be there next month, hopefully. For the next meeting.
Yep, blue.
I have black, but you'd already.
Oh,
black
that's,
and you
no,
were
that's
green.
okay, that's okay. We just have pink.
And when will the code of conduct be distributed to the other pool of representatives?
Well, we wanted to sign it first as a
First,
board.
Yep.
So I think once they're all established,
Okay.
because we don't have all the committees established, I'm doing it now. Well, then we'll reach out to them.
Right?
Oh,
Very
yeah.
cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
While everybody's signing, I'm sorry for my delay. It was heck getting out of Boston today.
I'm sure it's always like you gotta get.
The train was way longer.
Oh,
than
it's
I
it's
expected.
Patriots Day.
Yeah,
Right, marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red Sox and everything.
yeah, they sucked. It was a bad game.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
But a good day to run the marathon.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I had a client who was running, so I got to see her at the 1 mile mark to go. So it was a good day. It was a beautiful day in the city.
Nice day for it.
Was it heaven?
It was. You saw that? It was.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we'll move on to the vice president report.
Just quick blurb, as I said earlier, I've not finished my task that was assigned last meeting. I'm going to come up with some communication. I'm still working on the draft of the communication guidelines and maybe I'll.
Sure.
Okay, and one thing that happens is, a member, this is great, a member will come up to any one of the representatives because they're comfortable. A board member, a tax collector, treasurer, anyone, property manager, and they have requests or inquiries or items that they want, the concerns. And so one of the things I think I'm trying to figure out how we can document that is to make sure those concerns are being communicated as you do when you read your correspondence to us, that those concerns are all brought forward for the board to understand what's being asked of the ULO association. So, but I apologize, I did not finish. And then one thing, well, in the spirit of communication, so I love our little lending library, and we've noticed over the last 6 months or so, a neighbor had notified me, and we've been caulking it, and the caulking didn't work, and then we put the tarp on it, and that seemed to, so now we know it's the roof, but there are a number of members, or community neighbors down that this end of Wildwood and Hayfield. They're interested in rebuilding it. So just to let you guys know that, and that was a project that was done by a young woman in the community. And I don't know if she was a Girl Scout or what she was, but she actually did that a long time ago. So, but I think we're trying to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, but it was just something people embrace. So bringing it to the board, and is that okay if we, I guess, in permission to continue rehabbing the little library?
Yeah. I'll make a motion. Can we
Yes.
continue and keep up the good work? I think it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Oh, yeah, did you wait? You rose the hand?
Yes. I second that motion.
There's some discussion.
I'm sorry, can I just ask?
Well, you gotta second it first, and then you can have discussion.
So, second,
No, I second it. Go right ahead, girlfriend.
so is there a cost to that, to
We,
rebuilding?
no, it was just gonna be all donated materials and dumpster diving and,
Makes sense.
just kind of a
Fun.
project, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Sure.
Motion carries. Anything else, Julie?
No, but I'll do better. I'll get the rest of it done for you guys as soon as possible.
Jeff, do you want to work with Julia on that, on the communications aspect?
I'm a terrible communicator. If I get any more emails, my email box is blowing up right now. So, we'll figure something.
We'll talk. Yeah,
Exactly.
just,
Okay, well, you seem to be
I feel it's important. I
interested,
feel it's
and
important enough. Yeah.
we were both on the same wavelength, so
Yeah.
that's why I looked at.
Thank you.
Maybe we could figure
Be
it out.
happy to assist.
Thank you.
okay. Lisa, do you have anything to report?
Do I?
No. Okay. All right, we'll move into the financial reports. Lynn, welcome.
Good evening. I'm getting my written reports, and I hope that those have been clear.
Yes.
So, in terms of tax collection, we are, in case you haven't heard it, we have a 2022 tax year that we are currently working on. We are collected for all prior years, so there's nothing outstanding beyond our current year. For current year collections, we've collected $209,517.34 in taxes, another $874.32 in interest, $120 in liens, bringing our total to $210,511.66. For year 2022, we have two accounts that are outstanding. Both of them are in collections. We were referred to our account attorney. He handles these for us. The collections are being coordinated with the town of East Haddam. Both properties are currently scheduled for tax sale in June. It will be in East Haddam at the town hall. Room's been reserved. We anticipate that everything will be paid prior, generally is, but just so that you know. We also have three properties for which we did jeopardy billing. Jeopardy billing is when there is reasonable belief that there will be a problem in collecting taxes. Because these properties have in the past been delinquent or have a history of delinquency,
That's not incorrect.
And so, under Connecticut law, you're allowed to do what's called jeopardy billing. Jeopardy billing means it's an estimated bill of the next year's tax. We have 3 accounts, 2 of which are in collection, for which we've done jeopardy billing. The 3rd account, this is a person who's had a history of delinquency, but she is not currently in collection. Jeopardy billing can be helpful as well. It allows you, when you've been having problems, to pay your future bills on installment so that it doesn't hit as a single blow come July. But that is where we stand. Only 2
Awesome.
accounts for current year. According to the other tax collectors I chat with, we're doing pretty well.
Oh,
Other thing, if I might, of course, I do have a budget. And usually that budget covers the cost of our software. That bill is already for payment for this year, but it also pays for envelopes. And part of the thing that we charge is for self-addressed, pre-stamped envelopes. I won't need those this year. What I will need are blank envelopes. So I'm just making you aware that I won't be spending all my money this year. I should have my final bill in within the next 30 days. But yeah, I do anticipate that I will need to have the same amount next year so that I can get the stamped envelopes. The cost of stamps isn't going down.
true.
And now I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. I do have one question for you. So I'm updating the, and I think we talked about this a while ago, the password list. So it's actually, you and Lisa that I still need passwords from, and I think you only have QDS, right?
Correct.
So we'll talk outside of this
Sure.
and it will be in a secure folder, not on our regular password one, yours and Lisa's, but just so they're on the drive. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Julie.
okay.
Thank you.
May I ask, do we have to accept a report before I can ask my question on a different subject?
Oh, no, you can ask her.
Oh, okay. Then is it possible for you to give us just an email with the average cost of a seasonal tax bill and the average cost of a year-round tax bill?
No, this is why, let me explain.
Okay.
Your tax bills are based on the assessed value of your property,
Right.
I
as set
understand.
by the assessor
Right.
in the town of East Haddam. She does not differentiate between seasonal and non-seasonal. She's looking at the assessed value of your building.
Right. But
She
we
doesn't
know,
care.
we know which ones are seasonal. So don't we have a list of, like, I'm 141, 141's tax bill was X, 135's tax bill was Y.
There is a rate book that has everyone's taxes in it, but there's an equation. It's the assessed value of your building as set by the town of East Haddam times the mill rate equals your tax.
That's not what, I understand that. That wasn't what I was asking. I just wanted to know, like, on it, what was the average that seasonal homeowners pay as opposed to,
So Julia, constant contact, as we're updating it,
oh, we can get
we
that.
put in there whether it's a cottage
Right.
or whether it's year round. So once that is completely updated,
Okay,
you might be able to get that information.
thank you.
And then compare it to the tax roll.
Great, thanks.
I'm sorry, who am I taking? Sorry. Jeff,
I
sorry.
have a quick question. I just learned a new term, jeopardy billing.
Yes.
Yes, it intrigues me. How long have we been implementing that?
Jeopardy billing is something, first of all,
Mhm.
so that you know.
Yeah.
100% of tax and tax collection in the state of Connecticut is governed by Connecticut state tax.
Okay.
And we have been, as a PULA, Jeopardy billing
Mhm.
for at least 5 years that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Ed Bader did this prior to myself, and it's something that, under Connecticut law, is
Sure.
not unusual.
and how successful is jeopardy billing? In other words, if you have a homeowner that's fallen on bad times and they can't pay their current, what is the likelihood of that individual now paying for a year in advance in increments, installments?
Once the account goes into collections,
Mhm.
it's certain. Because the choice is, they can pay the bills that are completely due,
Right,
as Adam is pursuing,
right.
or the property is going up for tax sale. And that's the law.
We've always gotten the Jeopardy billing
Okay.
payments.
Interesting. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions for the tax collector, for Lynn? Okay, moving on. Lisa, treasurer.
So reports are on my drive. Usually this part where I say, if you have any questions for me. My reports are pretty darn detailed.
Yes, they are.
If you want them more detailed going forward, let me know.
All you got?
So
I
that's
don't have
all.
any questions.
All right, and so for you, Lisa, Liberty and the
Laptop.
computer? Okay,
I'll give it to you.
okay. Is that it? No questions to the treasurer? Okay, we're gonna go into association services, and I think we'll go quickly through these. Communications, the only thing I could say about that is, we're going to be paying for the bylaws that were just sent out today. You should be all getting those in your mailbox, in the next day or two. The revised or the proposed revised bylaws. So there'll be funds coming out of communications. That's all I could say. Any questions? Anything on communications? Geese. Evelyn, hi.
I don't know where they are. They haven't been here.
Careful.
They're hiding. I saw one across the lake from me the other day. I think two have been hiding in the pond across from the causeway. We own that, right?
We own what?
Is that part of Lake Hayward?
The pond on the other side of,
Cranberry bog. I
The
don't think
cranberry
so,
bog?
no.
I don't think so
No,
either.
I don't think so.
Don't be going in there chasing geese.
No, I think I have to.
No.
I think I have to, because if babies are born over there, they're gonna walk across the causeway and come into the lake. They will walk up to a mile
Oh, really?
to get to the water. So I think I'm gonna have to have, Nutmeg Farm come out and do the kayak thing.
Isn't there water there?
Huh?
Isn't
It's
there
deep
water
this year. So in prior year, a few years ago, they weren't able to get in there. It's pretty deep this year, so they should be able to get in. 'Cause it goes back pretty far.
So let me ask you something, Evelyn. If she does see nests, I'm thinking you would probably go to inland wetlands or somebody to get permission,
She could do that.
or she would do that?
He has all the permits to do that, so yeah.
All right,
She can pretty much go anywhere.
all right.
Well,
Well,
with her permits. Oh, and she did send me a copy of her insurance policy. I forgot to share it. I've been a little crazy lately.
oh, good. Okay.
I'll put it
So-
on the drive.
If that does come to
I'll ask
fruition, yeah, but like obviously, if somebody like is on the lake over there doing something, we probably should know. So when we get a phone call and someone says, hey, I'll come, or whatever, Yeah.
I'll ask her if she needs permission to go over there from deep.
okay.
Okay.
Any,
That's it.
anything else on geese?
Not yet. Still looking to fix the fence down in front of the pavilion. It's supposed to be nice, so probably, I'm waiting for Phil, because I have some leftover fence in his closet. So I looked at it again yesterday. A lot of it I don't think is repairable, so I have to pick it up and see what's going on.
Okay.
That's it.
I don't have anything on lake quality. There'll be some information in the spring packet on dates. July 9th was the date that was selected for treatment. And then there were a couple other dates, but they will be in the spring packet of when they're gonna do the prior survey and the survey after. I think one's June 27th and one's, I don't remember. It's after July 9th, but it'll be in the spring packet. So no report on properties, and we don't have properties here, so we don't know that. Technology, I guess the only thing I'd talk about there is the fact that we're looking at cameras, and there's really not a whole lot to talk about because we're still all hashing through. Does anybody want to discuss anything in technology? Okay, water testing.
I talked to Lisa Long the other night. We're going to try, she's going away. We're to try and get together mid-May because I go away beginning of May. She did tell me she has a box of stuff for me. I'm also going away the end of June, beginning of July, which is when the water testing starts. Lynn Chrissy has volunteered to test for me that week.
Oh, okay.
So got that covered.
What goes into
testing?
You have to go from what I know so far, you have to go under the water so far.
Three feet.
For her, that's like what
That won't take long.
It's 3 feet.
Lisa wanted to do it this week. I'm like, the water's not warm enough yet. You're not teaching me how to do it this week. So we're going to wait till May. You go in a certain amount, take a water sample from each beach. And then you take the water sample up to, I guess it's Bolton, Manchester area. And then you wait for the results. I don't know. I think she keeps track of it on an Excel sheet. She also may tell me that. And then if it needs to be shut down, then we put the signs out and we email people.
So you're away well, we're airing this, Evelyn, sorry. Is it?
I know, my husband ain't, must mean that.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, since it's personal,
So
so,
24th of July 3rd.
okay, so.
Where are you going? Who are you going with?
I know, I'm asking her
How
that.
soon are you
because
available
it's
to run up?
1 or 2 weeks. Like that one would,
She would just need to do that 1 month.
okay, all right. Okay. Anything else on water testing? Great. Committee reports, bylaws. I think I mentioned they were actually sent out today. QDS sent them out. And we already talked about Lake Hayward Days, perhaps putting that in the rules and regs with a standard week, which we can talk about when we get on the rules and regs. Anything else on bylaws? Okay, budget. I sent out an email today to the budget committee for a meet and greet and to kind of go over processes and hopefully get a chair, and we'll see how that goes.
You have enough people?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep. So I think I mentioned it. It's Keith Marvin, Tish Mago, Gail Kincaid, Art. Oh, what's his last name? I'm so sorry.
Okay.
He's from Third Beach, and Nancy Kavanaugh. Okay, so I don't know if everybody saw their email today, but I met with Tim on Saturday, and we talked about the dam and the update. So everybody should have gotten that email. Read it at your leisure. Essentially, we're waiting on deep. He also had some other good information that he's going to ask the dam committee members to look into grants from federal assistance for non-federal dam safety from DEEP. There's 7 of them here. Connecticut Bond Commission, Connecticut Soil Conservation Services, FEMA, and Small Watershed Rehab Projects. And I thought that was pretty interesting. If anybody knows anybody that's has any experience in grant writing, by all means, that's what he's really looking for. Another interesting piece of information he gave me is that there's question on our biodetention basin. And Thursday morning, Carl Adamowicz, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. He's our engineer that engineered the biodetention basin. He's also engineering the dam. He and our limnologist are meeting at the dam. The limnologist feels that our discharge and our inlet are at the same level. So our detention basin is not detaining. However, it's just a pass through. So we may have to make some adjustments to the biodetention basin. We'll see what happens after Thursday.
Didn't the engineer inspect that?
The engineer did. He engineered it, and he will be at the meeting. So it's him and the limnologist that are gonna.
Well, I guess if the engineer inspect it, the pre-construction and then post-construction. So someone dropped the ball.
We don't know. We don't know.
Well,
if that's
it doesn't
truly-
automatically start adjusting and readjusting itself.
We don't know if it's truly level or if it's somewhat. So they're going to go down and decide if which
So this is a theory that it may not be.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you can just put a laser and you can pretty much tell.
They're meeting Thursday morning.
But it must be somewhat out of whack in order for a visual eye to even bring this up.
Maybe
it up?
the limnologist. His name's in here somewhere. He's the one that does our testing, our water testing from DEEP.
I think that makes sense.
His name's in the, if you read the dam report, I think his name's in there. Or the report from Tim.
I have a question that's financial relative to this.
Okay,
Is the limnologist Northeast Aquatic?
I think so.
Because
Yes.
I'm holding on to a bill right now that I'm not paying. I'm waiting for Corinne to say, every time I get a bill from anybody of hers, I say, okay to pay, aside from the ones that are normal. And this one, she's saying, nope, not yet, because there's a report that she's scrutinizing.
Ah.
If that helps.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? Events, I have no report.
I good. So when we did the motion last week, last month about budgeting, events is not a line item budget. It's just kind of bands, carnival, Lake Hayward Days. Would it be beneficial to Lynn to? But yeah, I know it's tough.
Well, if you look at the budget to actuals, I mean, she's got quite a few line items.
But I'm just saying, Savage Brothers is $1,200.
Yeah,
So she would have to come to the board because it's not a line item.
if
She would
so,
do a line item budget.
if her budgeting, if she changes her budgeting or she understands that her budgeting needs to be, she needs to say, I want 5,000 for bands or such.
Right. That's typically what we do, and then we make it work.
Right. So
If most bands are $500, $600, $700, Savage Brothers is consistently, when I started booking them, $1,200.
And String of Pearls too is.
String of Pearls is $1,000.
So, so she'll have discussions going through budgeting that we're changing just a little bit.
Okay.
And she's never been through the budgeting process. Her budget was already set before she
Right,
came on.
and that's the other problem. It goes out. So I mean, between now and then,
Right.
bands could raise their prices because everything else is going up. But I'm just thinking so that she doesn't have to come back.
Right. So she can decide, I mean, based on this year, her booking band, she has a good idea of how much she wants to spend on bands.
Can I can I just ask a question? Because this is the question that I was gonna ask before.
Yeah, if you're done, everyone.
You done?
Mhm.
So if she's budgeted for bands $5,000 and Savage Brothers is 1,200, she still has to get advice and consent for Savage Brothers? Okay, that's
my question.
that's where I was completely not,
Okay.
it was like this. It didn't make sense to me.
Right.
Okay, so
No,
she's got
that's-
the budget, but she's gonna say, hey, by the way, guys, I got Savage Brothers. It's gonna cost 1,200 on my budget.
Right,
Like, so she's just gonna tell us. She doesn't need us to say yes or no.
correct, right.
Okay.
She doesn't even have to tell us. It's within her budget. If she has $5,000 to spend on bands, if she gets
Got it.
one band for $5,000, which probably wouldn't be appropriate, but
I mean, if it was Taylor Swift, I'm just saying.
go ahead, Dave.
So I thought what we were voting on, we did vote on this going forward anyway. So the budgeting, the previous budgeting is all done and it's in place.
Yes,
So I mean, I wouldn't want to revert and make people that have already put their budgets in place, have to.
I was just trying to clarify.
right. But going forward this year,
Budget's
so
changing.
when the budget committee starts, we'll have that conversation. I've got to meet and greet with them. I'll go over like, the process and the new expectation. So they're going to need to be a little bit more precise than what we've even asked for previously.
Which should be easy with seeing what things had cost in the past, right?
Yeah, so it's, the process is
not-
highly scrutinized. I mean,
Sure.
you get the report from the treasurer and you see every expenditure
Right.
broken out. So, it's a good process. Okay. All right, that's my paper. Anything else on events? Okay, nominating committee, there are 4 people on the nominating committee. Judy Blanchett, Rob Wright, Nancy Kavanaugh, who is the chair, and Dawn.
Hengesbach.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, Dawn. So we're also setting up a meet and greet and go over that process as well. Any questions on that? The rental committee, I also sent out their draft of their proposals. And we can talk about that at the next board meeting if everybody wants to take time and look it over. I know that John is not available right now. I think for a couple of weeks, but we can discuss what they've come up with and whether we do it via email or not.
Yeah,
Did you see that 2 Laurel View is for sale, the Airbnb that gave us trouble last year?
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's selling.
Amen.
Well, amen, maybe, but if somebody else buys it and doesn't take care, if they buy it as an Airbnb, I looked at it. I was going to buy it. There's too much risk. There's no permits on any of the work they did and it's a mess. So, but anyways, just wanted you to know that.
So this draft, before it comes to the next board meeting, we'll get a legal review on this.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
So let's all of us discuss it first and then we'll go for legal review.
Okay.
Just what our thoughts are. I've been to most of their meetings.
Hmm.
And I've heard some of the criteria on why they went with some things. So we can talk about that at the next board meeting if everybody wants to look it over.
It's just, I mean, I read it this afternoon and I know we're not discussing it now, but I think a lawyer would have a strong opinion on this document.
I do too.
I agree.
Okay, any more on that? All right, so Chris is not here, but he did leave, some minutes from his last meeting. And I'll read some of the highlights. So VT Recreational is scheduled to refurbish courts in late May to mid-June. I guess it must be 70 degrees for the crack repair material. And then there's a new Team Reach app for tennis players, which I thought was kind of neat. And I guess it's complete. It's done. They created an app. Pickleball.
What's the app for?
It's
To let you know what they're playing.
It's
sign
Team
up
Reach.
for it.
it's
Team Reach.
yeah, Pickleball Team Reach app implemented a few years ago.
We use it for when you want to schedule courts for pickleball, and I think he's going to extend it into tennis. So the tennis people have it as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Suggestion is to list both TP app information on Lake Hayward newsletters, and I wrote and email blast, so I'll talk to him about that.
Put it on the website too, probably. pretty
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
Webmaster duties, you know.
He's got, and you know, he's got a lot of notes here, and I can send those out too, but the court prep work, the pressure washing, it's tentatively planned for May 11th, and Chris popped to organize a small group to help with that. So they got a lot going on. Yes.
Just in committees in general.
Yep.
I know we haven't finished the communication or what we're expecting of them. We all talked about how there should be a monthly report. So we didn't get a monthly report from, we haven't heard from properties in a while. What's going on? Can we get him to send us something? So we know.
last month?
He didn't tell us what was happening. He wasn't at the last month. He was at the financial one. And then that wasn't, so I don't know what's happening with properties. I'm just curious because I'd like to know what projects are going on.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Anything else on tennis pickleball? Okay. We're going to move into unfinished business, which here's where we get into the financial policies and the contract procedures. And Julia, I think this kind of will cover what you're asking.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So let me just.
But we haven't provided those to the committee people, the chairs and.
Well, we haven't done that because we haven't actually gone over it yet. That's the good process.
Contract, we're doing really good. 8:14.
Fine, thank you.
Fine, Lynn,
Thanks.
thank you. Good night. All right. So,
Lynn, is my truck in your way over there?
No, no.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So pool or pole?
Well, I don't know where they came up with pool, so I always say POLH.
all right, so I can circulate this, Dave. I'm sorry you can't see it, but this new policy, and I'll email it. This new one reflects the change in the motion, so I was presumptive in that we would pass that motion for the $1,000 limit.
All right. Thank you.
And so this will go to each committee, and this requires a monthly report, has guidelines for that type of thing. So I'll just pass it around if everybody wants to take a look at it. And the verbiage is pretty much the same, except for with the addition of anything outside of what's already been approved. So I don't know if you want to just circulate that and then we can move on.
Yeah,
Read and then just pass on, and if everybody's fine with it, and I can email it to everybody too. Dave, I'll email it, and so you can see it as well, and Chris can see it. And then we'll pass that out to committee chairs that have budgets or and even ones that don't, because there's guidelines and requirements for reports. Like the rental committee doesn't have a budget. However, we want to report from them.
What they're doing.
Yeah. Anything else on that? I mean, it's going to come around, but if there is, we can come back to it. So contract procedures. I think that's a big topic, and I know I just flopped a little. It's a big topic. Dave sent out, a guideline that we can use and kind of modify.
No, it's fine. I can see it.
And then we have exhibits A and B, which, you know, we are going to run by the attorney anyway, and perhaps, I think Dave made a recommendation that we could probably consolidate.
I think maybe it's just a derivative of B.
And,
Okay.
and on some of them, we use both. So it's like
It's redundant,
redundant,
yeah.
yeah. So,
But when I looked at, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. You
When
go
I
ahead.
looked at when I looked at the contracts, half the contracts that we've got, we accepted the supplier's terms and conditions. Okay, we did not use exhibit A or exhibit B. We just took their T's and C's and we signed off on it. And I mean, suppliers typically do that because it's advantageous to the supplier. Somewhere in the wording in there, and if you went into litigation, it would benefit the supplier rather than the end user.
So our exhibits kind of protect us in that matter. Okay. So I think, you know, it's a big topic that's going to require more than just a board meeting. But before we actually meet on the contract procedures, which I think should be a separate meeting again, I'll have the attorney look over exhibit A and B and talk to that. And then he may have some questions on the insurance regarding this too, Dave. So we can talk about that.
Not bad. The insurance is pretty standard, what you're looking at there.
Yeah, it's adequate. And the, and I know it says we're a condo association or something like, there's no code, there's no insurance code for special taxing district. So we went back and forth last year on that.
Mhm.
And I guess that was like pretty exhausted. And so we could talk about that too. All right. Any other questions on the contract procedures right now?
You said we're gonna do a special meeting for that?
I think so. I think once we hear back from the attorney, Craig, then we could, you know, kind of take Dave's thing and all kind of meet and just come up with a process, right?
Okay.
I just think it's a lot to
It's a
talk
lot,
about.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then I just wanted to touch on the sand permit, which I did find, by the way.
I've got copies of that, Lori. You've got it, okay. Yes, I've got copies for all three beaches.
So, so this is good. I'm going to put it on the drive, Dave, so it doesn't ever get lost.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so this was from 1998. You have a sand permit. It tells us how much sand we can put on each beach annually, but it also has other provisions that are required. And it does say that we're supposed to meet with the Inland Wetlands Watercourses Commission Enforcement Officer to evaluate the facility. Work should be scheduled April or May prior to swimming. It does have some conditions. But from my understanding, they've been a little loose, and it's pretty much been a phone call. This is what we're doing. This is how much sand we're putting on the beach. And but the permits themselves do have a lot more requirements. I will put them on the drive. I'll put them under properties, just if anybody wants to take a look at them. But and we did confirm with Jim Ventris that we are within our, you know, we've been acting accordingly, just for protection. So I'll put that on the drive.
Lisa sent those out in the minutes or the agenda.
Oh, no, Craig did. Oh, did you?
I
Lisa?
didn't send
You
them.
sent it? No, you
I
didn't
seen
send it. You
Yeah,
just sent it.
I didn't post it on the, for the
On-
meeting because I didn't think it was
No.
appropriate to be,
Right.
but I was asked to post it and I said, no, we shouldn't. We talked.
Yes,
You and I talked.
yes, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Lori, can I interject real quick here?
Yeah.
You're talking about the permit to put the sand. Are you aware of the fact that we have permits for our swim lines also?
No.
Each swim line has its own designated number. And on the ballards that float out in the lake, I have put serial numbers on, it's a registered thing, because if anybody ever got hurt, that covers us. So when I get to the lake, I can get that information to you.
Okay, thank you. And I'll put that
Yeah,
on the
but
drive.
each beach has its own permit number for the swim lines.
Oh, okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll put that
Yeah,
on the
just thought I'd
drive.
share that. Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, moving along. How are we doing for time?
Great.
Great.
8:22.
I should show up late more often.
No, the game to go to.
All right, new business, code of conduct, we've already done. Thank you, everybody, for that. The guidelines of does anybody have any discussion on that? I think we're on the code of conduct, we're good, right?
Thank you to Chris.
Okay, right, we just have to get Dave and Chris when they're here. Guidelines of the nominating committee. So I pulled those and, obviously every year they're different and, there's different people, up for, election and incumbents and so forth. But, there's also some verbiage in there that, probably could be adjusted, and it talks about, using your personal email instead of emailing to the secretary. And I just think that kind of, I think if officially going to the secretary, if somebody wants to be on the board, and then the secretary passing that on to the nominating committee is the way it should go, not a personal email address. Because what if somebody, and I'm not saying, but what if somebody put in and they sent it to the personal email address, but it never went through the secretary. So it could just, what if it got lost or something? I don't know. I think it's the way we always did it. It went through the secretary and she would pass, or he would pass to the nominating committee chair. So I think that language should be changed back to not use personal email, to receive the,
Nominations.
the nomination, not the nomination, the, oh, good Lord.
Application?
The application, yes.
Who's not to use personal email?
The-
The secretary or the nominating committee?
No, whomever is, putting in for the board.
So if I'm putting in for the board.
Yep.
I email it to the secretary,
Yes.
and then the secretary.
So
puts it
she
where it
keeps
needs to be
track
in
of
the
everything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the person that you're talking about with the personal email is the secretary. So the secretary is not to use a personal email.
No. I'm sorry.
I don't understand
I'm
what
sorry
you're
if I'm
saying.
not
Like,
being clear. Wait, let me. Right now, if you were not a board member and you wanted to be a board member,
yes.
you would go on the website and you would pull up the nomination application.
Okay.
The nomination application was said to be able to be sent, instead of to the secretary once it was completed, to a personal email, like the chairperson.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what it says on the thing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Now
So-
that makes sense to me. now. I
I'm
understand
sorry
what
if I
you're
wasn't
saying. No,
clear.
no, I just didn't know what it said. So now it makes sense.
yes. So,
It makes sense.
thank you.
No, it does.
Okay, I'm sorry, but sometimes I think people know what it says, right? And I know y'all filled one out, so,
Right, it's fine.
okay.
I did, actually.
So there's just a little bit of language, but in our officer meeting, we'll change some of the language and pass it around. And before I meet with the nominating committee, we'll all approve it or what have you. Everybody good on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, spring packet. Okay, it's about to spring and come out, but I was waiting for a couple of things. And one was the meeting I had with Tim on Saturday. So he just sent his update. I'm going to mention the playground in there, and that's something that we'll have to address. Is there anything else that anybody hasn't given me or anybody might think of that may need to go into the spring packet? Because it's gonna come out in a couple of days.
What about the playground? I don't understand what that means.
I'm sorry. So the playground is in dire need of repair.
The little gizmo that they climb in?
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
I guess so.
Okay.
One at Second Beach.
Yeah, on Second Beach. It was looked at, I want to say a year or two ago.
Okay.
And it was deemed,
Unsafe.
yes.
Okay.
So, trying to get a hold of that report and we want to kind of let people know that it's probably not something they want to, let their kids play on. Right? Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, and also last year, maybe I'm not sure if it was last year or year before, we had done some research on finding out what it would cost to replace that. And that was unacceptable. I mean, that was like way out of the ballpark.
It was like 20, 30, 40,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe we need to start a GoFundMe page, something like that, to come up with money for that. But that's a big dollar amount. And I don't think we can afford to do that right now.
It can't be fixed.
Yeah, that's
No.
amazing.
No, I'm sorry. I looked at it quite often. As a matter of fact, I went down to my welding machine and I made some repairs where the steel had broken. The plastic is all, you know how the UV beats plastic up, and it's just a lot of it. All the plastic parts are just not safe. So it really needs to be either fixed or gotten rid of.
So Dave, do you think it would be feasible if like we got a work party together to tear it down?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think first of all, you might want to get your hands on that report.
Okay.
I want to say, I believe that Cindy Biancamano's son is the one that did the report because that's his business.
It is.
So
Right.
maybe, somebody can approach Cindy and see if we can get a copy. I'm just talking about what I think I heard. I haven't read the report myself, so probably not a good idea for me to say what's good and what's bad, but we should get a copy of the report and look at it.
Okay, I'll reach out to Cindy. Unless you want to, Dave.
It doesn't matter either way. I mean, you're there now. I'm still down in North Carolina, so.
Okay, I'll go knock on her door. Thank you.
Just, you know, that playground's over close to 30 years old, that set. The kids that grew up playing on it now have children that are playing on it. So that's how long ago it is. It's close to 30 years, right, Dave? Like 20 something?
I moved to the lake in 2001 and it had been there for 4 or 5 years at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, say mid-90s.
Yeah, this is pretty old.
I would just say that if we're gonna do that, rip it down, I mean, then we should get the report. We should vet all options. We should document how much it costs. We should have that because people who use it and find it, boarded up or ripped down are gonna be kind of like,
So
questioning.
I think so we're gonna put something in the spring packet. I don't know what yet, Craig, but I also think, so we did have a playground committee started.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the members, she took it on and she might've had 1 or 2 other people. And it became too big of a project for her. And so it kind of, she said, I don't have the power to do this.
Yeah.
And she kind of backed away. So, which is okay, we're all volunteers, right? So, I think you're right. And I think, like,
Is that right?
no, that's
The
my
blinds.
blinds. What? Craig, just so you know,
Boy.
it still does that to me. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, why do you, anyways.
They know when they shut at an hour after sunset.
That's pretty cool.
Fancy.
I mean, I have lights that go on automatically. The blinds is a whole new level for me. That's pretty intense.
I can't top that, but, listen, guys, if we're willing to put yellow tape over by Evelyn that it's unsafe, you know where I'm going with this, and we're putting yellow tape down on Third Beach, we gotta be insane if we're allowing this thing to be even up. Forgetting, hey, don't use it, it's unsafe. It should be, we need to escalate, speed up
I got a
immediately
present for you.
and tear it down, get it down. His kid cuts his leg, now we got a lawsuit.
Agree with you. Here, I got a present for you.
Wait, before you put that up, let me have my.
You wrap me up?
We're gonna go have a little party.
Yeah, it needs to be, thank you.
Okay, so maybe,
Lori.
go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna make a suggestion. Everybody's got a lot of stuff on their plate, but it might not be a bad idea to ask at the June meeting, explain the fact that our playground's in disrepair and it's gonna be either torn down or whatever. Ask if there's a volunteer who wouldn't mind chairing a committee to research, I wasn't kidding when I said a GoFundMe page. You'd be amazed at the money that people raise on GoFundMe pages.
So there is some information of when the other member was starting to chair it, Dave. And
Right.
I can research back in the old email and try to get some of that, but I can send out an email blast as well.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, the more communication, the better. Put it in the spring packet. That way it's there in print. Put an email blast out and then, let's just put the tape up. Let's
I'll be
let
the
it
yellow
know.
tape
Yeah.
committee
Okay, well, I'll go down there with you.
tomorrow. That's it.
I need to say something about the tape. I was told by somebody who manages construction that we need danger,
The red tape,
not caution.
I know, we figured people wouldn't understand the red tape. They would understand that better.
Yeah, well, supposedly, if you only have caution tape and somebody decides to go under it, you're not giving them adequate. I'm just saying.
Well, we're sending out an email blast. We're putting it in our newsletter. We're trying to be informative, so.
Just wanted to pass that little tidbit along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, so thank you.
Hold on. So funny.
Okay, last but definitely not least,
Yeah.
unless there's anything else on the spring packet. The only thing extra I had was the playground. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah. Good.
No, you.
You were quicker. Go ahead.
Well, we heard from the public earlier, and I think we should put a notice out there that we are going to, obviously, the pickleball, tennis court's going to be resurfaced. And please,
call.
and there is a sign that says no skateboards, no dogs, but every day there are people down there.
Dogs, yeah.
But we need to get people in the habit now. Stop using the courts for your dogs and your skateboards and whatever else. I mean, I think even we have to have special,
They're gonna put a lock on it.
well.
Well,
I
but
heard it
they're
used
gonna
to be
put a
locked.
lock
Used to
on
be
it.
locked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but people shouldn't start breaking the habit now. Like, please stop walking your dogs there.
In other words, informing them that
We're gonna
there's
crack
changes are coming
change them.
and it's costly and, and.
Because it's their money. It's $33,000 of your money we're spending to
Mhm.
resurface those courts.
Well, maybe we can have Chris write something up.
That's a good idea.
If you want to get the spring packet out, he's on vacation, so
Or maybe I can, well, whatever. Okay,
I can take a stab if you want. I don't know.
all right. Well,
Yeah, it's simple though, right? Yeah.
So the stop sign at the corner of Lakeshore Drive and Glimmer Glen is down. And there's a crosswalk sign at Second Beach. It's down.
saw that yesterday.
So who's responsible for those?
Those are town.
Town
Yeah.
roads.
One,
Yeah, town. Those are state.
Town.
Dave.
Yeah,
town.
yeah, we're not responsible. We are not responsible as an association for those signs.
Somebody needs to tell them, right?
So.
Yeah, right.
John Cyclowski, we decided he was gonna be the liaison with the town, right?
well, for just erosion, for the erosion
Oh, okay.
issues. And I don't know, are they down because of erosion or?
They're
It
down.
looks like they're down, like somebody hit it. The one on Second Beach looks like somebody might have
Yeah,
hit
it
it.
could have been a plow for all I know.
That's the crosswalk one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other, it stopped shining, same thing, it's just down.
It's probably just a simple email to Public Works is anything simple with the
I'm
town?
sorry, that was funny.
Yeah. No, but like, we just have to let them know.
No, I know,
If it's
yeah.
not our job to stick it back in the ground, then.
Right. So, I'll send an email to Michelle.
Was that funny? I like being funny.
No, I mean,
That's not gonna-
when you
Please
said,
tell my wife I was funny.
when you said a
That would be great.
simple email to Public Works, I thought that was hysterical.
So you'll send something?
Yeah, I'll send it out.
Huh?
Michelle. Stop sign at the corner of
Glimmer Glen and Lakeshore Drive.
Glimmer and Lake Shore.
Mhm.
And then the other one is the crosswalk. Are we sure that's not ours, that crosswalk?
No, they were put up
No,
by the
crosswalk is not ours.
state, actually. Because that's a state road. They went around
Lakeshore
and put up
Drive?
all of them throughout the state, yeah.
Lakeshore Drive's a state
Yeah.
road?
That's state road.
I did not know that.
That's why they won't let us put speed humps on.
That's why we can't drive
We get
golf
the
carts.
carts.
So if it's a state road,
I
is
think the
public
state,
road? is
she
public-
could advise you. I don't know if
Okay.
they can do it or not, but.
Okay. I mean, well, the stop sign being down is a big hazard.
But-
Okay. So John, Third Beach erosion repair, he's got messages into Public Works. He's waiting for a response. He's going to follow up again tomorrow, I think. Not a lot to report on that yet.
I have an issue with that. It doesn't say North Reserve area at North,
It's all the erosion.
but it only says Third Beach.
That's what the agenda says that we're talking about, because that's what he's working on right now. He's working on Third Beach. So the north end does and will get done, Evelyn, but the thing is, first, second, and third beach are the most utilized.
The people that use Reserve, North Reserve Beach, you are First Beach people, so they actually have a beach to go to, right?
Yes. I'm just saying, I'm gonna have people stop calling me and have them email you guys. because
Go right
I get
ahead.
Lots of calls. When is it gonna be fixed?
Or
I
even
would-
give him Michelle Velez's number. I mean,
Right.
That's ours. That's not just erosion. That has been happening. I mean, even if you just repaired the stairs are cracked and there's no hand railing on one side.
So if the stairs were repaired, I
You
actually
could at least
walked,
use one side.
I've actually walked by. So if the stairs were repaired,
Still keep that back side with the huge drop blocked off, but at least repair the stairs.
so we'll have to take a look at it, Emma.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought the erosion there is the worst out of all the erosion.
It is.
Because I walked by all of them.
It is bad. And it's utilized by, the north end, but
But I mean, personally, I think the erosion's happening because of the water runoff off the road.
well, it doesn't help that there's been construction and no grass and all this dirt running down. That has mostly been going down on the left side, but this side over here where the stairs are, something could be done to fix those now.
Are you suggesting we need silt fence on the Ridgewood Road construction? Is that where it's coming from? When you say,
Ridgewood Road.
yeah. on the
Oh,
corner?
that one.
Where's
Hillside.
where's,
That's actually hillside.
Oh,
So
okay.
Ridgewood Road comes,
Yeah, and then Hillside
and
goes,
then hillside goes up and through.
okay. So
So there's a property being built.
isn't that Ridgewood though?
That's Ridgewood.
Yeah, is that the one that's
And it's
causing?
coming down from there.
So that's the
silt
one
fence?
causing.
Wow, yeah.
There was, I don't think it's there anymore.
He built the wall. He
Yeah,
built the boulders.
he built. a
But it's
wall.
also the side that I don't think it's part of that property, but it's obviously coming from there.
Yes, we didn't have this last year.
Right. Well, because last year was just a big overgrown pile of weeds with a white pipe sticking out of it.
I mean, I'm sure it's part of it this year is because of the rain, The town did come down and clean out the drains, so that I think kind of helped, but I mean,
That's John Allegra's house,
yeah.
the one who's building it.
I know. I don't know. I just want it to be igncluded.
Everything's included. There's,
I know, but that end of the lake for years has been ignored. It has. It is just, I mean, I've been there 5 years. And only recently did we start including that with the landscaping and having it leaf blown and
Well,
maintained a little bit.
I also think once we get the walkway committee up and running and all of that, we're gonna have a lot more of upkeep, Evelyn, and reevaluate what's being upkept, and heck, there's probably still stuff we own that we don't know we own.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Okay. Want to make sure it's still
Of course.
part of the works.
Yeah. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor?
I'm in.
Aye.
good night.
Record time. See you, Dave.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, where's,
Oh.
who's gonna answer where the boat is?
Where the what?
The boat is
That we own.
that we own.
Oh, it's in the trailer.
You got it, Craig?
It's in
Think
the
so.
trailer.
Have you seen it?
Down at the ball field.
Have you seen the boat?
It's in the
Yes.
trailer.
Okay.
It's in the trailer. It's a, I call it a tin can. It's a.
That's the thing we're supposed to